What's going on, everyone? So, a dream target for the Los Angeles Lakers would be Donovan Mitchell. He would be my favorite option this offseason if that's a real possibility. Now, right up front, I think it is a very big long shot. I think the likelihood of the Lakers landing Donovan Mitchell is very slim. I think the only way that the Lakers would really be able to land Donovan Mitchell is if he basically pulls an Anthony Davis and says, I'm only going to go to the Lakers, right? Saw Anthony Davis, like, hey, you guys can trade for me. Like, Boston was interested in AD. Hey, I can't stop you from trading for me. But if you do, I'm just letting you know, as soon as I'm able to leave, I'm out of here and I'm going to the Lakers. That's what I think it would take for Donovan Mitchell to really kind of push his way to Lakers and end up landing with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Now, is that something that he would do? I don't know, right? There is a lot of just kind of rumors going around with Donovan Mitchell. We'll know probably pretty quickly, right? Because now we're in the stage where teams can start negotiating and really working out with their free agents and trying to re-sign them or extend them, all that stuff. If Donovan Mitchell has any inclination of like, hey, I'm not going to extend, I'm not going to re-sign here, right? Think it's time for me to go, is still an option on the table. There are some rumors going around that the Cleveland Cavaliers expect Donovan Mitchell to sign, but they've been saying that for the last year, that they fully expect Donovan Mitchell to re-sign. Is it possible that he does? Absolutely. Is it likely that he does? Sure, right? I mean, they could give him an absolute bag, right? He's in the Eastern Conference, which is a weak East. There's talks about them potentially trading Darius Garland, although reports have came out that the Cavs kind of want to keep everyone intact. Just because that report happens doesn't mean that, like, if Darius Garland is like, hey, get me out of here, or Donovan Mitchell's like, hey, if we can turn him into some pieces that maybe make more sense, right? There's definitely some flexibility there for the Cavaliers. But there has been reports for like a year or so now that Donovan Mitchell really wants to go to a big market. There have been kind of rumors going around of like the Knicks or the Lakers, that those are the two teams that he would prefer to go to if he were to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, reports have came out that the Knicks are basically, the ship has sailed with Donovan Mitchell, that they're no longer interested in trying to trade to push for Donovan Mitchell. They're still trying to work out with OG. OG is apparently supposed to hit free agency, that he's not really happy with the negotiations. Again, these are all reports. Everything's a rumor until it's official, right? But the Knicks are kind of looking in other areas and want to get more complementary pieces around Jalen Brunson. You have to remember, and this is something that I've talked about in previous Donovan Mitchell videos, you have to remember when it comes to the Knicks that they wanted Donovan Mitchell before the Jalen Brunson emergence, right? Now that Jalen Brunson has basically evolved into a top 10, maybe top 7 player in the league, now the Knicks are like, well, Donovan Mitchell doesn't really make the sense that he did previously, right? So it makes sense that the Knicks have kind of cooled off and are looking to maybe take their assets and allocate them elsewhere to get a more, Lauri Markkanen or something like that, right? So if that is the case, and Donovan Mitchell really does want to go to a big market like the Lakers or the Knicks, if the Knicks are out of the equation, that's really good for the Lakers. Again, don't get your hopes up. This isn't something that I'm like, oh yes, this is definitely going to happen. This is just something that I think is, if, again, the reports are true, this is really good for the Lakers. Now, we've seen even guys like Kevin Durant wanted to go to Phoenix. Phoenix was the place that he preferred to be traded to, but he had a couple other names on the list, right? He had a couple other teams that he was kind of interested in, but ultimately he ended up going to Phoenix. Well, Donovan Mitchell, he holds all the cards, right? He has all the power. It's up to Donovan Mitchell. If Donovan Mitchell wants to go to Lakers, he will be a Laker. If he wants to go anywhere else, or he's open to going anywhere else, the Brooklyn Nets are a team that is very interested in adding Donovan Mitchell. They want to add him to a Mikal Bridges, right? And kind of build around Mikal Bridges, even though, like, it sounds like the Nets are basically looking at Mikal Bridges like he's prime Michael Jordan. It's crazy. They've turned down some like insane offers, assuming that the reports are true about some of the things that they've turned down. But nonetheless, right, if he's like, hey, you know what? I can't go to the Knicks. I'd love to go to Brooklyn, right? I'm all for that, right? Because he really wanted to go to the Knicks. I mean, he was like sitting courtside, like he was pushing hard for the Knicks, and he thought he was going to the Knicks. The Knicks thought that they were going to land him, and then the Cavs came in and swooped in. So if the Cleveland Cavaliers come to this realization of like, hey, Donovan Mitchell's leaving, we got to put him on the market. If Donovan Mitchell kind of leaves the door open, then I think it's just very unlikely. Because yes, the Lakers have pieces to go and trade for, a specific star. Like, I think that they could land a DeJounte Murray. Right? I even think that they could land a Trae Young just because the market's probably going to be very thin for Trae. But somebody like Donovan Mitchell, if he is basically like, hey, I just want to go somewhere where I can win, now you start opening the door for various teams to kind of come in and go like, hey, well, we'll take a shot at Donovan Mitchell. And if the Lakers have to compete with some of these other teams, like the Thunder, for example, I don't really know if they want Donovan Mitchell with SGA, but let's say that they were open to that. They were open to potentially landing Donovan, right? Then the Lakers have no shot. Because, I mean, a team like the Thunder, they could outbid us just for fun, just for sport. And just be like, here, we'll give you 6 first-round picks because we got 50 of them over the next, 7 years. Something crazy like that. So, to me, it's like Donovan has to really push for the Lakers. And, look, I mean, if you're Donovan, the Lakers make a lot of sense. Because you get to go to a big market, which doesn't have the luster that it once did, right? Especially with social media, all these brand deals, and just kind of the attention that stars have even in smaller markets. But still, there's a lot you can benefit from by going to LA. It's still LA, right? That's not even counting the weather and the business and all that, right? But just him growing his brand even further and having a bigger reach and, creating more wealth and creating businesses and all kinds of stuff. LA makes a lot of sense in that regard. And even post basketball, it's one of the reasons why LeBron came to the Lakers, right? Donovan Mitchell, he could look at it from a business stance of hey, I could essentially double or triple my net worth going to a place like LA. You also would immediately be in a position to where you could win now, right? Because you'd have LeBron James, you'd have Anthony Davis. Donovan Mitchell makes a lot of sense alongside those two and would be a very good pairing. And even after LeBron, rides off into the sunset, you and Anthony Davis would still be together. And Anthony Davis alone, remove LeBron, Anthony Davis by himself is the best player Donovan Mitchell has ever played with, right? So, I mean, look at what Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert were able to do in the Western Conference. Imagine what him and Anthony Davis could do in the Western Conference. Now, look, the Western Conference is stacked. It's a lot of really good teams, but Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis give you a lot of wiggle room. And Donovan Mitchell isn't making so much money that you basically would have to trade every single player you have. Right? Now, you're probably going to have to give up Rui, probably going to have to give up Austin Reeves, right? Probably have to, but you could probably keep Jared Vanderbilt, right? You may be able to keep him. Could you maybe keep Rui? Right? Is that something that maybe you could work out to where if D'Lo opts in, it's hey, we'll give you D'Lo an expiring contract that maybe you could flip and trade. We'll give you Austin Reeves. Throw in Jalen Hood-Schifino or something like that. Throw in your picks and stuff. Also, you got to keep in mind, if Donovan Mitchell basically says, I only want to go to the Lakers, then the Lakers are the only team. They'd be bidding against themselves at that point. Could a team maybe come in and, swoop in and kind of do a Kawhi Leonard situation? Possibly, but there's a big difference between Donovan Mitchell and what Toronto did with Kawhi Leonard, right? Because Kawhi at that time was top 3 to 5 player in the league and the best two-way player in the league, right? I mean, so his impact was just far greater than what Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is a very good player, but he does still have his limitations. He is still high usage, best with the ball in his hands, right? He does have a very specific skill set that not every team in the league is interested in, right? But if Donovan Mitchell really kind of pushes for the Lakers, well, then the Lakers now are in the driver's seat, and they still have to give up a return. It's not we'll just give you Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell and Jalen Hood-Schifino and, enjoy. No, you're still going to have to give a comparable offer because it's at that point, if you're the Cavs, it's we might as well just sell him for first to somebody. Is there a team that's willing to give us, a first or 2 firsts or maybe a couple random young guys that we could grow and develop, right? It just, at that point, you'd be bidding against yourself, but you're still going to have to give value in order to get Donovan Mitchell. It's not going to be as simple as hey, we're the only team, so we're going to give you a first. No, you got to still, it's you saw with Anthony Davis. Right? A lot of people are man, the Lakers bid against themselves, but you still have to give value for Anthony Davis. Right? Because there were other teams that were willing to take a flyer on Anthony Davis, And if you're giving them that low ball of an offer, they might as well just go take the flyer with this team over here. So you still need to give a comparable offer, but it wouldn't be anywhere close to what it'd have to be if there was a bidding war, and if Donovan Mitchell were to say, "Hey, I'm open to these teams over here," right? So Donovan Mitchell holds the power in his hands, right? And for a long time, it's been rumored Lakers, Knicks. If Knicks are out of the equation and Knicks are off the table, well, then that would leave the Lakers. So it's going to be very interesting because, look, if you can get Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion, you do whatever it takes to get Donovan Mitchell. To me, if you have to give up everything, you give up everything. Because Donovan Mitchell not only greatly raises the ceiling now, but on top of that, he raises the ceiling long term with him and Anthony Davis. And then you just put the comparable role players around. Right? And if we had Donovan Mitchell instead of Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell, let's say, remove them, swap Donovan Mitchell with those two. We probably beat Denver, right? Because Donovan Mitchell, even on a bad night, is going to give you 20, right? This is a guy that's dropping 50 in the playoffs, right? So he's going to have the impact. He would be the closer and the scorer and the things that we need. He had a playoff game where he dropped 20 of 20 points in the fourth quarter, literally all of them. So he'd be huge for the Lakers. So to me, he's the one guy that I would be willing to sell the farm for, just because, again, him, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, I think skill set wise match beautifully, right? I've talked about, having 3 stars works if they are complementary to each other and they play different positions and not this weird conflict. You look at a team like Phoenix, it's Devin Booker and Bradley Beal basically are the same player, at different scales, right? And they play the same position. And neither are really big enough or, skilled enough at the point guard position where they could, slot over, right? They both are, they can make a play, but they're not like Chris Paul, right? So it's this conflict. And then you add in Kevin Durant, which, again, all 3 guys are essentially the same guy at different levels, right? So it's it doesn't really make sense. But something like LeBron, who is, unselfish, willing to make plays, right? Willing to kind of let Donovan Mitchell cook. We saw with Kyrie and him what they were able to do. I could see very similar things with Donovan Mitchell and just kind of letting Donovan Mitchell cook at times, especially late in games down the stretch. Anthony Davis would be perfectly complementable, right? And I think Donovan Mitchell would be willing to get the ball to Anthony Davis, right? One of the things you saw in Utah was his reluctancy to get Rudy Gobert the basketball, because every time he tried, Rudy would fumble the ball, or it was just clumsy, or it was just a mess and lead to a turnover. So he's why am I going to give him the basketball when I can? But Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis, right? So obviously there would be a little bit of a learning curve. Obviously there would be the hey, we're going to have to sacrifice and make adjustments, but I think that'd be really good for LeBron. I think that'd be good for Donovan Mitchell. He gets to contend now. So it does make a lot of sense. But again, don't hold your breath. Don't get your hopes up. If it happens, beautiful. Let's go, right? But it's one of those things don't expect it to happen. And if it is, then it's a pleasant surprise. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Donovan Mitchell? Do you think that maybe he'll force his way to the Lakers now that the Knicks are off the table? Do you think, no, he's staying with the Cavs? Which, again, is a very real possibility. It is very possible that he sticks with the Cavs. Do you think, no, they come to Lakers? Or do you think he goes elsewhere? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.